And he wanted to give God his life because of what God had done for him and because of the grace God had greatly shown for him. And so as we ask ourselves the question tonight, how has the love of God affected us, or how should the love of God affect us? The first thing that it should do is it should bring us to love him, right? The verse I shared with the young people on Friday before we left was, we love him, why? Because he first loved us. So God's love for us and everything God did for us, the reason God made us and all the grace he's shown on our life should motivate us to love him more. And if we love him more, what are we going to do for him? We're going to obey him, right? If we truly love God, he says, if you love me, he even said it himself, keep my commandments. If we love him, we're going to do what he says in his word. We're going to follow the commands that are given. We're going to serve him. If we love God more than self, even if it makes us uncomfortable, even if it's difficult, even if it's hard, even if it might put us out a little bit, where you're going to serve God. We're going to give God part of our life. We're going to be surrendered in all that we do. And not only will we obey him, not only will we serve him, but we will also worship him. And I wanted to give these young people an opportunity as they just thought through. They saw the camp video, were reminded of just two of the messages that they heard. They gave words of testimony. I wanted them to think about what God had done in their life at that moment. And then we had an opportunity to worship him before they even left the platform, singing, I have decided to follow Jesus. The love of God should motivate us to love him more. But not just love him more, it should motivate us to love others, right? Because he's told us in his word, if we don't love our brother, if we don't love others, then we don't truly love him. And so as the love of God has moved us, as the love of God constrains us, has a hold on us, has his grip on us, it should cause us not to live for ourselves by loving God than loving other people. Being a light. Young people, those decisions that we made this last week, I want to encourage you to choose every day to be a light. Choose every day to be different. Choose every day to follow what the Bible says. Jackson, you gave a testimony a minute ago that you want to pray more. Pray more. Young people that heard these messages about certain things you need to cut out of your life, cut them out of your life. Show your love for God, your motivation to him by not doing the things you committed not to do anymore. Commit to doing the things that you promised God over the week. Don't let that leave. Be a light, be kind to others, share the gospel with them. Everybody look at John 21. John 21, and this part of this text, it wasn't the main message that was preached by Brother Jones, but it was one that he referenced at the end of one of his messages, and I think it's good application for all of us tonight. You know, we're going through the life of Peter in Sunday school. If you aren't coming to Sunday school right now, and I encourage you to come, the life of Peter will be a great help to you. We understand this text here in John 21, this is after Peter's ministry with Jesus for those 3.5 years. This is after he denied Jesus 3 times. This is after Jesus died and rose from the dead. And as Jesus sought Peter out and as he's there with the disciples, we see there in verse 15, so when they had dined, Jesus saith to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? Jesus said, do you agape me? Do you love me with that selfless love? And Peter said, he saith unto him, yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. But he didn't say agape. He said phileo. So Jesus says, Peter, do you love me with the selfless love? And Peter says, yeah, you know I love you like a brother. You know I care about you. You know you're my friend. He saith unto him, feed up my lambs. Some time goes by, we see verse 16. He saith unto him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Do you agape me? He says, yea, Lord, thou knowest that I phileo thee. And he saith unto him, feed my sheep. Peter's not quite acknowledging that fully, is he? When he saith unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Jesus saith unto him, feed my sheep. 3 different times, Jesus called on Peter, do you agape me? Do you love me with a selfless love? And those first 2 times Peter said, I phileo you. I love you like a brother. But it took that question happening for that many times for Peter to truly catch what Jesus was trying to say and truly acknowledge and make a decision. Yeah, I agape you. I love you with a selfless love. God wanted a selfless love from Peter. He wanted Peter to commit at that moment that he was going to put God, he was going to put Jesus, he was going to put the will of his Father above his own flesh, above his own desires, above any pull he would have in this world. Why do you think that he wanted him to commit to that at that moment? Because Peter's life was going to be even more difficult as it went on. And he had a plan for Peter in his life. He knew, but just really weeks from this moment, Peter was going to preach in the day of Pentecost and thousands were going to come to Christ, but that wasn't going to happen if Peter was in it for himself or did not love God with a selfless love, because there was all kinds of people trying to stop this from happening, wasn't there? You know, we need to love God beyond a love of fondness or just liking Him or being interested in Him. God is looking for us tonight to love Him with a selfless love. And if we love Him with a selfless love, guys in the back, are you paying attention here? Sound booth, you guys paying attention? If we love Him with a selfless love, it's going to make a difference in our life. I talked to the teenagers on Friday. It's going to affect us in two ways. It's going to affect us, first of all, in what we don't do, right? If we truly love God, there are going to be many things in life that we choose not to do because we love Him. We're not going to sin against Him. We're not going to live for ourselves. There are going to be many things in our life we're not going to do. And our young people and the counselors that went with them this week, I think all of us acknowledged or looked over our life and certain things that we might just need to cut out. And I want to ask you as a church family, and I want to ask the teenagers, the young people again, are there things that we are doing in our life that we shouldn't be doing? And if we truly love God with a selfless love, is everything that we did this last week, should that be a part of our life? If it's not, we need to cut it out. But a true love is not only going to affect us in what we don't do, it's going to affect us in what we do. Our love for God should motivate us to what we talked about a few minutes ago. Service, worship, telling others about Him. It's going to affect what we do. It's Father's Day today. I love my family. I love my children. Thankful to be a father. And I think I've said several times today that I love my kids. And I would hope that you believe that. I tell them as much as I can. I'm somewhat of a loving guy like that. I tell my kids most every day I love them, or set multiple times a day. I love my kids. Now I can say that as much as I want. And I could tell them I love them. But what if I decided not to put food on the table anymore and just to take care of myself? What if I thought, you know what, they don't need that. They can get by with just bread and water, and I'm going to go to Saltgrass every day and eat what I want? Or you know what, it's nice for them to have a home to live in, but you know what, I'm going to start taking care of myself. Or you know, I'm going to pay the bills for these other kids that seem to like me better than my kids do. I'm going to find some that are either a little better behaved. You know, I love my kids, but I'm going to do some things for these other kids over here. I think they would start to question my love, wouldn't they? And if you saw me doing those things, you would question my love for them as well. Because I love them, there's things I'm going to protect them from. Because I love them, there's things I will continue to do for them, even if they are not meeting my expectations. Do you love God? Do you love God? It's a question we need to ask ourselves tonight. Young people, do you love God? If we love Him, it needs to be a surrendered love, a selfless love. And it is going to affect us in every area of life. And what I encourage you to do is choose to love Jesus. I believe phileo love is a love that just comes emotionally. It's a love that you might inherit, or a love that might be brought upon you by being family or someone loving you in return, right? It's a brotherly love, a friendly love. But agape love is a choice. It's a selfless, surrendered love. Not all of us feel like showing love every day, do we? Teenagers, possibly this week, you're not going to feel like serving God. You're not going to feel like reading your Bible. You're not going to feel like telling others about Christ. You're not going to feel like doing what it is you committed to do. So what we need to be determined to do right now is choose to love God. And that doesn't always mean choosing what we want. Do we love Him with that selfless love? And if we do that, if we do right now, I want to encourage you, choose today, choose tomorrow, choose every day after that to love God. And as you make that choice, it will affect everything we do. Every head bowed, every eye closed for a minute here. I want to encourage our young people in particular to take a moment tonight to reaffirm your decision for the Lord.